Let's speak now to Fahim Sadat. He's a political analyst and joins us now from Cadiz in Spain. Fahim, good to have you on the show. Let's talk about the reopening of the airport. This has no doubt been a very issue of high priority for the Taliban. You have just left Kabul just a few days ago. So let me ask you, what is the significance we're seeing in terms of these first international flights departing the airport?
See, the Taliban right now faces multiple challenges, and among them, one of the most immediate is the dire humanitarian situation. According to the data, you have 14 million people who are in the list of food insecurity, and also you have more than 18 million people who are in dire need of humanitarian assistance. And the Taliban now, as the government, has to deliver something to these people before the situation gets out of control and becomes a catastrophe. And now those countries who are somehow now friendly to the Taliban, particularly countries like Qatar, Turkey, and UAE, who have shown willingness to provide some humanitarian relief to Afghanistan, they need the airport because Afghanistan is a landlocked geography. And Kabul airport is the only linking point to the rest of the world. In order to the Taliban to deliver aid to the people and the regional countries to deliver it to the Taliban, Kabul airport needs to be operationalized because without the Kabul airport not being operationalized, it is almost impossible for these countries and the Taliban to do anything on the humanitarian front right now. Also, there are so many people who are still stuck in the country. There are foreign nationals and those Afghans who have foreign passports. And those people need to be evacuated by different countries. And that for that also you need the Kabul airport to be operationalized back. So right now it is very important for Kabul airport to be operationalized so that these activities take place.
Okay, it's a step in the right direction. Fahim, tell me, are you confident that the Taliban can handle this crisis, whether it's the airport returning to full functionality or dealing with this humanitarian crisis and getting this much-needed aid to the people who need it?
Well, the Taliban alone would have for Taliban alone it would have been very difficult. But as we see that Qatar and Turkey, their technical teams are already in Kabul, and they are the ones who are doing everything to operationalize the airport. And looking at the capacity of these two countries, it seems possible now that the Kabul airport would be operationalized to the extent which is necessary. On the humanitarian front, I think it largely depends on the Taliban's friendly countries and the international community. If the international community are somehow lenient in order to do something on the humanitarian front, regardless of the recognition and legitimacy of the Taliban at the moment, then I think the situation will get better. But if the condition the humanitarian aid to the legitimacy and recognition of the Taliban government, then I think the Taliban will be helpless and wouldn't be able to do much on the humanitarian front.
Let me put in another player into this whole equation. China has announced that it's going to be offering at least $30 million worth of emergency aid. With the departure of the US, how do you see the relationship between China and the Taliban developing?
I think China and also Russia and Iran, these countries are doing their homework. They are trying to make ways into the Taliban group and make sure themselves of how the events will unfold because each of these countries have their own particular concerns and they are concerned from the situation in Afghanistan. China is vulnerable in terms of radicalism in its Xinjiang province. And any unwilling events in Kabul can definitely have spillovers to China. At the same time, the Russians have the problem of the illicit drug trade and also the spillover of radicalism to Central Asia and to Russia. So I think the Chinese are happy that the US have left the region, but they are at the same time concerned the way that the Americans left Afghanistan, and any chaos in Afghanistan would harm these countries, particularly in terms of radicalism and extremism, being exported from Afghanistan. So they are trying to manage the situation in a way so that they protect their interests. They are also willing to make inroads within the Taliban group so that the Taliban's cohesiveness and also their unity as a group who will be governing Afghanistan remains intact. Because a chaotic Afghanistan will first and foremost harm the regional countries.
Okay. Fahim Sadat, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. I do appreciate the analysis.